What do you want? I'm in the middle of a podcast. Leave me alone.
This guy who really is, I think, a bad guy. Russell, I think you are a bad guy.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what the truth.
I don't want him knowing where I live.
You can hate Russell, but one thing you cannot take from Russell is his ability to play that game.
I ain't finished playing just yet.
What's going on, everyone? I am Cody Dunlap, and this is the Russell Hantz Show. Obviously filling in for Russell today. I am the substitute teacher of this podcast for Ghost Island, putting the show on my back, and I dropped the ball last week, guys. I let y'all down. For those of you who aren't familiar with me from Stranded on MTV, I did that. I won that show, and I am also in the National Guard. And I had a 4-day drill weekend. I recorded the podcast last week beforehand, and then when I went to save it, I was like, oh crap, it only recorded for 2 minutes, and then it stopped. And yeah, I'm new to this podcast life, so cut me some slack. I'm sorry. And then we had a guest lined up on Sunday, and he flaked out, and it's whatever. We're moving on. Episode 10. There'll be no episode 9. It was a good episode last week. We've had good episodes, man. This is a good season. And after Tribal, I'm happy with what went down on Tribal. You guys know I'm a big Michael fan. But then also, I'm always going to root for the bigger player to stay when it's a toss-up between two people, whether that's Dominic or Wendell or whoever. Whoever's more entertaining, we need to keep those people around. If I'm rooting against somebody who's entertaining, I'll root against them, but I'll want them to go home later, not now, because it's too early to lose our stars, man. I think we have 10 people left now. Too early. Let the stars go to final 6 and then duke it out. That's the best. That's what makes the best seasons. But yeah, we'll get right into it. But first, I wanted to answer a question that was sent to me in the Russell Hantz patron group, or the Russell Hantz Show patron group on Facebook. So the question here is from Chris James. Chris James, thank you for asking this one, man. When somebody is talking to us in private talks, how does that work? Do the people there ask questions and they answer, or do they just say whatever? Do the producers even tell them what to say at times? So he's asking about the interviews in Survivor, which I will first say Survivor does a great job of letting these contestants do interviews and openly say what they need to say and explain their thoughts and explain their feelings. And I think why I like Survivor so much, or one of the reasons I like it so much, is because in the interviews, it's really an intimate talk that these contestants give us. You get emotions and you get where they're at in the game. And comparing it to a show like, say, Big Brother or The Challenge on MTV, you don't get that. You really just get one-liners. And he asked, when you ask me, Chris, do the producers tell them what to say at times? When you get a one-liner on Big Brother, that's the producer telling them what to say and then them repeating. Like, Paul is notorious for that. A lot of the Big Brother people, I mean, you find people that are saying hilarious stuff over and over and over again. Well, guess what? That's a team of 20 producers brainstorming funny things for them to say and then giving them a list to read off. Some of these people aren't even that interesting. But yeah, so sometimes they'll have you say specific things, which for me, I never wanted to do that. But usually it's just stuff that they really need for promo, or like to use in the trailer. Like they had on Stranded, they had me say "Game On," and I was like, that's so corny, man. I tried not to say it, but eventually I just broke. So that's another thing. They could be telling you to say something, and you could have someone like me or Russell where we're like, fuck you, dude. We're going to say what we want to say. We're not going to say your words. We're going to say our words. And then they just hound you so long that you're just like, all right, I'll say game on. Here you go. You ready? Game on. And they put that in the trailer of Stranded. But it's usually, on Stranded, man, they did an amazing. I think it was because of the first season and the producers hadn't settled in completely yet. But they really let me run my mouth on in the interviews. They gave me open mic at the end and all that. But to talk about Survivor, which I think does the best job of any show that's on TV, with interviews is you'll have your tribe. What's it called? You'll have your boundary. You'll have a boundary where your tribe can hang out. There you'll have the beach, the ocean, your shelter, and a water source. And when you think about those things, those are all the things that we see on Survivor. And it's a really small area. It's not a massive area. So when people find hidden immunity idols, I always used to think, like, how the hell do they find it? On the entire island, how do they find that? Well, they're limited to like an acre and a half of land. It's a small area, guys, that their boundaries are. And what will happen is you have your cameramen obviously filming the crap out of it from all angles. And behind the cameramen, you'll have your producers. And you'll probably have like 2 or 3 producers, a tribe. And what will happen is the producer will make eye contact with somebody. So let's say, for example, I'm a producer and I want to interview Wendell. And they'll probably interview like 30 minutes to an hour a day, I would suppose, just based on how many episodes there are, and each episode covering 3 days. And I'll wait till Wendell looks at me, and I'll give him the little come over here finger, like move my finger like, hey, come over here, man. Or if he's not responding, I'll just be like, Wendell, and then I'll say, come over here. And he'll come with me. We'll walk along the trail, and we'll find the spot that I have designated, which will be a spot with an awesome background, as we all know. Set the camera up on the tripod, and then the producer's behind the camera, Wendell's in front of the camera, and the producer has a pre-made list of questions that they'll run through. And I would think that the questions would be like, to open it'll be something easy, like, it's day 24. How are you feeling when you wake up? And he'll be like, he'll answer it. And the list is very strategically thought out by all the producers. And sometimes they'll be strategic in a way where it influences the game, right? So if they want Wendell, if they like Wendell a lot, which they do, and they want Wendell to work with Michael, because they know Michael's good for the show too, they'll say, Laurel came to you and Dom, and she said that the girls, Desiree was leading the girls to turn on you. It makes a lot of sense for Desiree to do this. Do you believe that she's doing this, or do you think that Laurel, somebody who's very close to you, would lie? Kind of making it obvious, like, oh shit, Desiree's... I don't know if I did a good job of wording that, but I was trying to word it in a way that would make Wendell realize, oh snap, Desiree has got to go. So you can ask questions in a way that reveal things to people, and they don't do it too obviously, because we talked about this a ton. Me and Russell did on another podcast where we were talking about last seasons of Survivor, if it was rigged or not, because the forgetting his name, the one dude that won found so many idols, and the way that you can lead someone to an idol is walking past the idol to your interview, and then having the marking on a tree where they'll see it on their way back, which is what happened last season. So just so you guys know, hopefully I painted a good enough picture there where that makes sense to y'all. So good question. If you guys want to ask questions, you can tweet them at me. My handle's at Cody Thrive, or you can become a Russell Hantz Show patron and interact with all of us die-hard Russell Hantz Show fans, Survivor fans. It's a good Facebook group. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, so let's get into the episode, the recap. That was an interesting topic, so I really wanted to cover it. But another solid episode of Survivor. I'm very happy with how Tribal went. Although the way the votes were split was really interesting to me, and we didn't really get enough answers. But I'm going to start from the top this time. I'm going to start from the top. We'll get to Tribal at the end. So it opens up with that post-Tribal talk, and what's going on is Desiree wants to turn on Navidi. Desiree's kind of waking up and saying, you know what, maybe it's time to turn on our own. Maybe these sitting ducks, Michael, for example, maybe he's just a sitting duck with no friends. Maybe we can grab him and take out some of the big dogs, because I'm at the bottom of my alliance. Very natural thing to realize on Survivor, and I'm glad she's realizing it. She brings it up to a group of people that I think they all could be on board with it. Now Laurel, she's the snitch. And to all of you girls listening to this who want to be on reality shows, you're going to get on a show one day. I believe in you. And when you get on, it's people like Laurel that make it so that all women alliances cannot work. There's always a snitch. And what I want to say to you is don't be that snitch. Because if you can successfully pull off an all-girls alliance, you will be you'll be worshipped by the fans. That's all fans ever want in life. Not me, but a lot of the girl fans. Every girl fan, I think, wants an all-girls alliance. People like Laurel gotta mess it up. But, putting myself in Laurel's shoes here a little bit, I see where she's coming from because Wendell just revealed to her that he has an idol, which in the game of Survivor is like the ultimate sign of trust. It's really like you can't believe crap out there. But if somebody shows you they have an idol, it's like, all right, this person really likes me. I need to stay loyal to them. So I don't blame her in that regards. But what I would say is I don't know that she really had to bust this out because she's kind of in good standing with both groups if she just shuts up, says yes to everyone, and doesn't like make it a big deal. But she did. I see why she did what she did. I just think what I would have done is been like cool with it, and then kind of made my decision when I had to. But really, she didn't even have to bring it up to anyone. She could have just been cool with everyone and just sat there and known that she was more loyal to Wendell than Desiree, but still stayed cool with everyone. But yeah, she didn't like it. So we get into the reward challenge from there. And I just want to say, guys, reward challenges to me, I don't know how you guys feel, but they are just so fucking pointless to me. So pointless to me. And I know you get food. Cool. You're starving on an island. You get food. I don't give a shit about that. And for them to put like 10 to 13 minutes of the episode into a reward challenge, you're eating 25% of the damn show. And I felt like when I saw who voted for what at Tribal, I didn't understand why like half the people voted for Desiree. Like, I knew she was going to get a lot of votes from the top dogs, like the alphas, but like Kellen voting for her, Sebastian, some of the people that voted for her, Jenna, I didn't really like get the story on why they voted. And if we didn't spend so much damn time on the reward challenge, maybe you could have fit that in there, Survivor. Jeez. But reward challenge, and speaking to touch on them starving, Desiree, back to how we opened this podcast, producers forcing people down roads. It seems like they always want to force certain people into certain stereotypes, and Desiree didn't just start talking about being homeless out there, guys. A producer said, "You're starving right now. You said in the casting process you have been homeless. Did being homeless help you for Survivor?" It's not like Desiree just came up with that on her own. and she says, "I've been hungry as a homeless person, and that helped me a lot for Survivor." I'll tell you guys this. When I was on Stranded, I was fucking starving. And I would tell you this. Being on Stranded starving, it was more like a concentration camp where you're not getting food and you're fucked. Okay? As you guys can imagine, if you're on an island just starving, it's not like being homeless. You're homeless, guess what? You go to the stoplight, you put up a cardboard sign, you get hell, maybe even more than that, $35 an hour, let's say. I'm lowballing it here. And you go fucking eat a steak. Or you go to Taco Bell and you have a feast. But yeah, that to me kind of shows us, like, a lot of us are like, we don't see the survival side of Survivor anymore, and we miss it, and I miss it. I wish they were starving, and I wish it was brutal out there on them. I wish people were like quitting. Like, I don't want the whole fucking cast to quit, but if one person quit like every 3 seasons or so, 1 or 2 people, that would like reaffirm to me like, wow, this shit is the real deal. But to relate it to being homeless people don't starve. There's a lot of overweight homeless people. And I think that to me just revealed like how easy Survivor has gotten, how soft it is out there on these contestants. So we get to the reward challenge, which further makes the reward challenge irrelevant. But yeah, so we get to the reward, takes a long freaking time. And what I would say, the parts of the reward that aren't irrelevant get no airtime. Like obviously the reward itself is important, but I think that the captains choosing teams is makes a massive impact out there. And you think it might, I mean, you guys it's pretty obvious that makes a big impact, especially for someone like Donovan. Whoever the captains were, I don't know if it's said or not, but the captain that has to choose between the last two people, he's really showing who he is more aligned with. Whoever the last pick was versus Donovan, he broke Donovan's heart. He didn't get to compete for the food. And the way that the draft goes for the reward challenge is pretty important. I would think that Dom and Wendell, one of them was captain and chose the other one first with the first pick. I don't know. I guess Wendell wouldn't have chose Donovan, or Wendell wouldn't have chose Dominic. But see, I want to see that. I want to see the draft. I think that's more important than shoving 12 minutes of a bunch of clips of them running around in the ocean and solving a puzzle. That really doesn't matter to me, who gets a meal and who doesn't. And it shouldn't matter to you guys either, because guess what? You're starving either way. If you get a feast or don't get a feast, you're still starving. But whatever team it was won the reward. Michael's team won the reward. And when you get to the reward, Michael uses the reward to socialize. And what he said in his interview, Michael's brilliant. He's a good player. He's one of the few guys on the season that I think is really a special player. A lot of the people have exposed themselves to me as complete idiots that aren't really good players. The producers will edit it, and whoever wins the season is gonna look like a good player. But I've seen things that the producers couldn't hide about pretty much everyone else's game that is just absolutely idiotic to me, and they've exposed themselves as a weak player. But Michael has not. And in his interview, he says the great thing about winning a reward is people are feeling good. They're happy. They're getting food. And you can see the emotions on their faces. This is true. And it's easier for them to open up to you. And he's exactly right, guys. You're in two situations. If you win the reward, you go eat and socialize. If you lose, you go back to camp and try to socialize. If you go back to camp, everyone's going to be in a horrible mood. If you go to the reward, everyone's going to be in a great mood. And to someone like me, I don't give a fuck if I get a sandwich. I'm looking for an advantage in the game. And he's thinking the right way there. And the reason that advantage exists is because you're with a bunch of weak-minded players. You throw out an all-star season, and I'm not talking about this corny Game Changers crap where they just cast their favorites, CBS cast their favorites. I'm talking about a true all-star season where you put out the Spencer Bledsoes, you put out the Russell Hanses, you put out the best players that have ever played this game. You put them out there, you lose that advantage where you're out there with weak-minded people. You go to a reward, you can get them to open up. I can tell you guys right now, Russell Hans isn't opening up to you on a reward because he has a sandwich. He's looking for a fucking clue out there. I wish they would plant clues on rewards. It would make it a lot more fun, I think, and a lot more relevant. But they shoot him down. They didn't open up to him. So hopefully Michael's smart enough to realize that he's in trouble. And I'm sure that's pretty obvious to him by now. And I think it was Kellen that was like, oh, they shot him down, Sebastian, and I think Jenna maybe. I don't know. I don't remember exactly who it was, but two people shot him down, and I think it was Kellen that was like, hell yeah, we're set. I'm in a great place in this game. And yeah, so that was a complete waste of time, all of that. Seriously, I wish they would have shown us something else. There's so much more to show us, so much we don't see. So we get to Ghost Island. Here we go. Here's another thing I want. Here's what I want to see. Don't allow the winning tribe to put rocks on the losing tribe, which I've said it before. One time they didn't do rocks. They voted for someone. You always got to do rocks if that's an option. But Survivor shouldn't let them do rocks. Make them decide on somebody. And then if they can't, make them vote on somebody. So if they can't, Jeff will say, okay, left to right, vote for who you want to go to Ghost Island. Boom, 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 boom. It's 5 people. It can't be a tie. It takes 5 seconds, and it adds another social layer to the game. It could stir some shit up, which is what you want, what you want to see. And show us that vote, please. Survivor producers, I know you're out there listening. Show us that vote when you take my advice and you do this to make the show a better show. And show us the draft as well, and cut down on the reward. But they go to rocks. Angela gets the lucky rock. She gets to go to Ghost Island. And what do I tell you guys? Or actually, I think I told you guys this in last week's episode that never aired. But I was saying, if you are a big character, if you're entertaining people, if you're getting airtime, producers will like you and they will want you to get advantages. They'll want you to get rewards. So if you're a big character, you go to Ghost Island, you're going to get to play. If you go to Ghost Island and you're irrelevant, which who was it that was irrelevant recently that went to Ghost Island? Was it Jenna? 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Somebody went to Ghost Island, didn't get a play. And I was like, yeah, because you're irrelevant to the show. But Angela, coming off her MVP performance last week, where she just went kind of crazy and then won the bug eating competition, she gets to participate. Surprise, surprise. Obviously, producers are choosing who gets to play and who doesn't at Ghost Island. She has a 2 in 3 chance, and she loses. So, you conspiracy theorists like myself who think that when somebody wins at Ghost Island, all of them have the winning ticket. They don't. But that's not to say that they don't have the losing ticket. So there's a chance they could have all had losing tickets, but I think it's 2 out of 3. I think that part's legit. And Angela loses a vote. Sucks to suck. All right, now we go to the camp, which is the third element of post-reward. See, this is the good stuff. The reward itself, Ghost Island, and camp, while the losing tribe is at camp alone, that's what we need to see. Less reward, more of that. So back at camp, the losing group at the reward challenge, Laurel decides to really play a little too hard, I believe. I just don't think it's necessary, man. I don't think it was necessary to tell Dom what was going on. You put yourself in so much danger. Like, if she just does nothing, there's no chance anybody's throwing, shade on her. Nobody dislikes her. Both sides think they have her. Both sides are happy at her. And she's in a good spot. Just say yes to everybody and shut your damn mouth. But now what she's done, and she obviously survived the episode and she wasn't on the block this week, but she pissed off some people. And I think those people would be the people that were in the Desiree group, the all-girl alliance, girl power. I think some of those people, you just rubbed the wrong way, Laurel, by doing that. But I get it. She's sticking with who's more loyal to her. And it's not the worst thing in the world. But I just feel like she could have kept that to herself. But she tells Dom, and Kellen, who is in on it, tells Dom she thinks they're fine. I think Kellen was just in an uncomfortable spot there. But Dom tells Kellen, and she said, I think we're fine. Or being paranoid, which doesn't really make sense, because if Laurel's saying it, you probably could take it. You probably could believe that. She's one of the closer people to Dom and Wendell. And Kellen thinks they're fine, which they're not. You're not fine. But I don't know. I don't remember clearly enough. I'm not gonna go in on her for that, because I think she was just trying to kill the drama there, or not turn it into anything. And then from there, we get to see an idol hunt. And we all know by now, if we're seeing an idol hunt, an idol will be found. But this is a really interesting idol hunt, because you have 2 people hunting. So I'm on the edge of my seat at this point, and I'm rooting for Michael to extend his stay on the island. I'm like, please God, don't let Donovan find this idol. And sure enough, he does. Michael's not able to find it. And I just thought, man, Michael's this athletic dude. He's found an idol before. He had the advantage there. I thought he was more likely to find it, but he doesn't. And then something extremely interesting happens. But before we get to that, let's talk about the idol real quick. Ty is such a piece of shit. And if Ty was in Chris's body, Chris Noble, the noble one, if Ty was in Chris's body and played the game the way he played, people would consider him one of the biggest pieces of shit of all time. Because holy cow, every time the dude plays, he just lies and lies and lies to his best friends, to people that he's attended their wedding. He'll stab you in the back. It doesn't matter. And I just wanted to say that because, dang man, Ty is just a bad person. There's a line, that you can't really, you don't want to cross, and like, it's gross, man. But I just think it's annoying how Ty's just this tiny little, sweet little Asian man, little tiny gay Asian man, and because of that, he can just turn his back on everyone and no one ever people will still think he's loyal. But there's some history on the idol there. And you gotta have both parts of the idol for it to be in effect. Ty was famously didn't give up his half of the idol and fucked his buddies, man. Oh, bad. Makes me sick. So, Donovan, is it Donovan or Donathan? I'm sorry. I'm butchering his name, but it is a very unique name. But Donathan needs that second half. And why, dude? He tells everybody, like he let 3 other people know that he has an idol or that he needs to get an idol. Like, bro, it would have been so easy, guys, to do that while you're sleeping. Like, sleep in the middle of the shelter. In the middle of the night, start tossing and turning a little bit, reach your arm down under, feel around, grab the other half, put it in your pants, look up at the stars and the beautiful skies of Fiji, and smile and thank the survivor gods. But no, he decides, I know that there's an idol under our camp, and I'm going to tell everybody that walks by, I'm looking for it, and I'm going to get it right now. And it's like, bro, really, he could have waited like a week to pick up that idol. He didn't. There's no need to get it right now. He's not on the chopping block this episode. And he for sure didn't need to get it right that moment. He could have got it that night. This is what I'm saying, guys. Like, if Donathan, and like, just hypothetically say he wins Survivor, they're going to make him look like Cinderella story, some badass game player. It's moments like that you see and you realize he is not good at this game. But he's a likable dude. Bless his heart. Good for him. He found an idol. And what was super duper interesting about this is Michael grabbed the other half of the idol. And Michael grabbed it. Oh! This happened before the way they aired it. It happened before the individual immunity challenge. And I think if it would have happened after, Michael would have grabbed it and put it in his pocket and said, I'm using this bitch tonight. And if I was Michael, I don't know what I would have done. Because if you do that, you kind of piss everyone off. And then, yeah, you're safe, but you're next to go the next week. But what would have happened is he would have had half the idol, so it would have been useless. So I think he did the right thing, but just like it was super interesting that Michael had his hand on it. He thought about it. He thought about grabbing it. I don't know what I would have done. I think he did the right thing, though, in letting Donovan have his idol. But, man, he touched it. He touched it. And he's, at this point, the number one target in the game. And he touched an idol. He touched half of an idol. All right. Anyways, individual immunity. A few interesting things happen here. A lot of people lose. Only one wins. Not a lot of people lose early. But Kellen, who won last week, almost wins again. And I tell you guys this when I talk about the Wendells or the Chris's, or I say if I was playing, I would do this. The Aussies, the Malcolms, the athletic studs, they have to disguise their ability as competitors because it paints a target on their back that otherwise wouldn't be there. With somebody like Kellen, obviously she's not a beast or anything, but Kellen is putting herself into that category. Kellen, you're not on the chopping block. You're not near the chopping block. You don't have to worry. Just throw it. Just throw it. We see throwing challenges is such a huge part of Big Brother. But I don't think people on Survivor realize how like necessary throwing challenges when you're safe is. Because if Kellen wins that, she may have done enough damage just coming close to winning. But Kellen's now more of a comp beast than a lot of people. So if it comes to that, if it's between her and another person, that's probably going to be the tiebreaker. They're probably going to say, well, I think I can beat this person in a challenge. But Kellen, she's almost won damn near every immunity. I don't want to compete against her in the final 5. You know, so, hey, that's another thing. If Kellen hypothetically wins the game, shit like that's not smart. It's not smart to be competing in individual immunity challenges where you don't need it. Chelsea wins, whoop-de-doo, but Jeff says a line, and he says, that's 3 females in a row. All I ask, Probst, is that when 3 men in a row win it these next 3 weeks, show some love to the boys, please. No, but what he said in that, it's kind of funny because Survivor's such a microcosm of, I don't know if that's the right word, but Survivor's such a, microcosm of the real world and American society. I just realized I probably butcher so many words podcasting. Anytime I say this many words, I'm probably messing a ton of them up. But Survivor's a reflection of American society. And it's really funny because what Jeff is doing here is he's trying to build women up and be like, look, women are just as beastly as men. They can win challenges too. And it's funny because you see that a lot in society in 2018. It's like a big theme. Like building up minorities, building up women. And all it did, Jeff, by doing that, is you just put the women on everyone's radar. Like the women are playing a really boring game for us as viewers. But they're playing a really good game as far as pacing themselves, laying low, staying quiet, not being on the chopping block. We've almost seen an all-women's alliance develop tonight. And by Jeff praising them, because he's so excited, he screws it all up. You can look at it that way, which is the way I saw it, or you can look at it as Jeff is a great host and he wants these women gone because they're not really as entertaining. All the big characters this season are really dudes. So maybe he's trying to, protect his boy Michael, the 18-year-old sensation who's playing a hell of a game. I'm a big fan. I followed him. He didn't follow me back. Became a little less of a fan, but Michael's my favorite. So that goes down. And then Dom, in his interview, I'm so glad that one of the listeners asked the question he asked, because it really feeds in well. Dom says in his interview he suspects a women's alliance. And producers could have asked him that. He could have realized it because of what Jeff said, which is what they want us to think, because that's the way it aired. But in reality, it's probably a producer saying, there's a lot of women, and with Michael being on the chopping block, if he goes home, are you worried about an all-girls alliance? See what I just did there, guys? I gave you a great example of a question they'd ask. If they decided in their little tent in Video Village, if all the producers got together, which they do, it's their job to talk about these things, and they said, guys, it would really hurt the show if Michael went home. It wouldn't hurt the show if Desiree went home. Let's try to do what we can do. What should we ask who? And they say, all right, let's ask Dom if he fears of an let's ask all the men. Let's ask all the men if they fear an all-girls alliance if Michael indeed goes home. See, that can impact the game, and that will impact the game. And that's just an example, and I think that was clearly asked of in Dominic's interview there. But good little moment there, and I am plugging my phone on a charger real quick, and then we'll finish this out. It's about to get juicy. My phone was about to die though. That wouldn't have been good. And then we go into from there. Not too long after, we go into tribal, and it was a good one, man. It was interesting. People telling different stories and stuff like that. And the one, I guess it was entertaining to watch. And then the big thing for me is what was really clear to me is when you have people, and Dom said it at tribal, you have people telling you things with a straight face. One of them's lying, but they're all telling them to you with a straight face. Well, I'll tell you this, man. Somebody like Donovan, he doesn't know how to lie. He's never even seen an African-American person before. He didn't know how to use a water balloon slingshot. I think that was last week's reward. Donovan sure as hell doesn't know how to lie. He doesn't. So whatever that dude's telling you, that's the truth. Everybody else is lying. Okay? There are some people out there. Hey, Ty, who came up in this episode. Ty is somebody who he just can't lie. He does lie. He tries to lie, but he can't lie convincingly. And there's people like that you got to go for your reads. And Donovan should give it away. And I think he did. And I think that's why the vote was so lopsided. I haven't talked about it a ton, but damn, Desiree really played herself out of this game tonight. She could have just shut her damn mouth, chilled, and been fine. I hate it when people do that. But it's good to see them go home, too, because it's such poor gameplay. And I just want to see good gameplay. And man, she really put herself out of this game. Just being, overly aggressive and just very emotional. She couldn't control her emotions. She couldn't control her emotions. She couldn't control her facial expression. And that's just really bad qualities in life and in these reality TV shows. But everyone voted for her out. Everyone, man. Except Angela couldn't vote her out. And Chelsea didn't. I think it was just Chelsea and Des that voted for Michael, which means Chelsea is probably pretty out of the loop. It'll be interesting. So she could be one of the ones that go home next week. Michael obviously is probably in a bad spot next week. Yeah, there's not another idol out there, but you do have Ghost Island in play. It looked like Michael bluffed an idol, and maybe he went to Ghost Island and then made a fake idol. We'll see next week. I don't want to get into it. I know some of you guys don't watch the preview for next week's episode. I watched the preview, and I learned way too much. I learned that some people confirmed didn't win the individual immunity challenge. And yeah, I don't know. There's a big twist next week, though. Huge twist. If you know about it, you know about it. If you don't, you don't. Probably because you don't want to. I'm going to assume, so I'm not going to say it. But that should make it extremely interesting. I may have said it at the beginning of this podcast. I'm forgetting. But yeah, next week is going to be exciting. And I just hope the odds of two people that are like, the odds of, let's say, Michael, Dom, and Wendell, and Laurel getting through, which I think to me are my top four. Donathan's pretty, close. Maybe he's the fifth. The odds of those five getting through, I hope it happens. But we'll have to watch and see. I'll see you guys next week. I'm going to DM some Survivor alums, some CBS alumni, Big Brother maybe too. I'm going to see if we can get some guests on the show. I really enjoy podcasting. I really enjoy interacting with you all. So hit me up if you got something to say. And I will see you next week for sure. Hopefully sooner. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys.